Ladies and gentlemen, welcome on back. In this one today, we're going to be ranking the top 5 best Easter eggs in COD Zombies. Coming into our number 5 spot, we have Shadows of Evil. This map has a really iconic Easter egg and was always hated for the longest time. A lot of new players that started in Black Ops 3 hated Shadows of Evil, especially when it came to doing the Easter egg. Turning on the Pack-a-Punch in previous games was always something that you could figure out by yourself, but on this map, it was something that you had to look up and find a guide for to even attempt doing. Over time, people began to accept this complexity, and for the hardcore audience, this map is seen as one of the best. You have super iconic steps like the flag step and the upgrade process for the sword, which is great. What I like the most about this Easter egg is that there isn't a ton of steps, but each step goes really far in depth. This Easter egg only has about 4 or 5 steps depending on if you play with 4 players or not. All you have to do is turn on the Pack-a-Punch, build and upgrade the sword, do the flag step, and then you're on to the boss fight. The steps are really easy to understand, but challenging to do, which is what a good Easter egg should consist of. The only problem that I have with doing this Easter egg is the fact that the boss fight isn't really that great when compared to other maps, and the final step with 4 players is too complicated and random for the majority of players. Other than those 2 complaints though, Shadows of Evil has a really solid Easter egg for hardcore and even mediocre players, and is deserving of our number 5 spot. Moving into our number 4 spot, we have Gorod Krovi. Gorod Krovi is regarded as the hardest map in Black Ops 3, and the Easter egg definitely falls under that statement. Usually hard Easter eggs are heavily despised in the community, but most of the hard Easter eggs that people hate on, like Blood of the Dead for example, are difficult because they are complicated. Gorod Krovi's Easter egg is difficult not because it's hard to understand, but because the process of doing the Easter egg is challenging. Gorod Krovi's Easter egg mainly revolves around completing a ton of challenges. These challenges are straightforward, like escorting a green-eyed Valkyrie drone to the Dragon Command, but actually doing this step can be difficult for many. The challenges range when it comes to difficulty, with some being very easy like the drop pod step, and some incredibly difficult like the bomb step. Once you've completed all of these challenges, you move on to the boss fight, and this is one of the best and worst parts of this Easter egg. The boss fight as a spectacle is one of the best we have ever seen in Zombies. Fighting Ultimus Nikolai in a mech suit and a dragon at the same time is incredible from a viewer's perspective. The problem with this boss fight is that from a gameplay perspective, it's one of the worst. If you have the Ray Gun Mark III and in plain sight, you can complete the Nikolai portion of this boss fight in a few seconds, which is underwhelming in terms of gameplay. The only other thing that I don't like about this Easter egg is the Valve step. I don't fully hate this step, and compared to other Easter egg steps, it's not that bad, but it still isn't a good step, and I wish they did something else with this portion of the Easter egg. Overall, Gorod Krovi has a lot of good gameplay mechanics when it comes to doing the Easter egg. There are a few things that I don't like when it comes to certain steps, like the boss fight, but other than that, it's a really solid Easter egg that's deserving of the number 4 spot. Next up, coming into our number 3 spot, we have Eisendrache. While the 2 previous maps had some flaws when it came to doing the Easter egg, Eisendrache has none. The only complaint that I could somewhat give this Easter egg is that I don't like the fact that you have to do the whisk step twice, but this is more of a minor inconvenience than a complaint. All the other Easter egg steps on this map, from building the bows to doing Simon Says on the machines to completing the boss fight, are all easy to understand for the average player, but are also somewhat difficult to actually do. In terms of difficulty, this Easter egg is the best because it's hard enough for the hardcore players to have some fun, but it's also easy enough for newer players to get into. I always recommend Eisendrache for first-time zombie players who want to complete an Easter egg egg because setting up on this map is fairly easy and the steps are also pretty easy to understand. The only reason I can't put this map higher on the list is because the Easter egg isn't engaging enough to compete with some of the other maps that we're going to talk about later on this list. I might just be saying this because I'm burnt out from Eisendrache, but some of the steps can start to get tedious once you do them multiple times. I've done the Easter egg for this map more times than any other map in Zombies, and the amount of times that I've done the whisk step makes me not want to love this Easter egg as much. Eisendrache does a good job at making every step good, but not every step in this Easter egg is great. Doing this Easter egg can be really fun for the first time, but after the third or fourth time, it can get somewhat boring. So for that, I have to put this Easter egg at the number 3 spot. Now, moving into our number 2 spot, we have Ancient Evil. A lot of you will disagree with me for picking this, but I don't care. This is personally my favorite map in all of Zombies, and the Easter egg does not disappoint. This map is very similar to Eisendrache, where there isn't much that I hate about this Easter egg at all. The boss fights and the steps are almost completely balanced when it comes to difficulty, and it's very easy to understand most of these steps. What makes Ancient Evil different in comparison to Eisendrache is that these steps are much more engaging. You have some of the best Easter egg steps when it comes to replayability, like the sharpshooter step, as well as the step where you have to get blue fire by doing trials. This Easter egg takes elements from Gurod Krovi as well, since most of the time it doesn't feel like you're doing an Easter egg, but instead just playing the normal Zombies mode. Building the gauntlets and doing your challenges is the majority of this Easter egg. The rest of the steps utilize these normal setup processes, and it's done in a really smart way. This is also the only Easter egg where you get to actually use all 4 elemental weapons for specific steps, which is cool and smart. For other maps with 4 elemental weapons like Eisendrache, you build all of the bows, and then you end up only using the lightning bow for the rest of the Easter egg. It feels like a waste of time, and it doesn't utilize a good majority of the content on the map. Ancient Evil uses every small detail on the map when it comes to doing the Easter egg, like the Pegasus Strike, all of the gauntlets, as well as every trap on the map. Every step feels unique because you end up using different weapons depending on what step you do. During the boss fight, for example, you mainly use the gauntlets and specialist weapons when fighting the Pegasus, but then you switch over to the Helion Salvo when you're fighting Perseus. Overall, Ancient Evil is an incredibly underrated map as it has one of the best Easter eggs and is the only Easter egg that utilizes all of the tools that the map has to offer. So for that, we're gonna have to put it at the number 2 spot. And coming into our number 1 spot, we have Origins. Whenever I think about COD Zombies Easter eggs, this is the first map that comes to mind. Now, one thing I will say is that Origins isn't perfect when it comes to the Easter egg. The process of moving the gramophone to different locations is annoying, and the first step where you have to build and upgrade all of the staffs can be really tedious at times. You might be wondering why I would put this map at the number 1 spot, even though there are so many complaints, and that is because of the replayability and engagement. There is so much to do on this map, and so many different ways that you can make your runs faster, that it's never boring nor engaging to do this Easter egg. There are still people to this day that are finding little tricks to perfect this map when it comes to speedrunning. Literally last month, there was a new exploit found in the Zombies Chronicles version of this map that makes it possible to skip the second step by using self-medication. This map is almost 10 years old, and there are still new tricks being found to complete this Easter egg faster. Every time you play a map like Shadows of Evil or even Ancient Evil, there's a pattern that you follow for getting the Easter egg done, which hurts the replayability. But with Origins, there are so many different ways that you can play this map to complete the Easter egg that it feels like a new experience every single time. This map is considered one of the greatest of all time, and the reason for that is because of how replayable and good this Easter egg is. Getting the Easter egg completed is for the hardcore audience, but speedrunning it is for the elite zombie players. I can't think of any other Easter egg that comes close to Origins in that regards, so for that, I have to put it at the number 1 spot. Anyways, guys, that's going to wrap up the video for today. If you did enjoy, leave a like, subscribe, do all that. Leave your comments down below if you want to see me do any other type of content. Check down the description as well for more zombie related videos. And yeah, I got nothing much else to say, so peace.